This is a call for vengeance. Welcome to today's show. California is being put underwater. And if you're not paying attention, now would be a good time to pay attention. And if you are getting suspicious, it's a good time to get suspicious. But unfortunately, it's been programmed in to people's brains that when we see traumatic weather events now, of course, to think that it's climate change, right? To think that this weird, activity we've never heard before has to do with climate change. They could never control the weather, and if they could, why would they ever do this to the citizens that, they clearly hate and show us on a day in, day out basis that they loathe and detest? Look at this headline, okay? Extremely dangerous situation unfolding near LA. Scientists concerned storm will exhibit windshield wiper effect, where rain recedes, then batters the same area. So if this doesn't tell you verbatim that they want to target these places, it's no different than if you were looking at some of these fake military operations that they show us on the news, which are all fake, okay, because at least the reasons for a lot of these wars are fake, et cetera, et cetera. But let's hypothetically think about that, right? Or watch a movie, Top Gun, or what do you do? They're like, oh, we got to lock the missile on the target. Boom, direct hit, bullseye. Well, this is code word for direct hit, bullseye, that they're clearly trying to hit Los Angeles, and again, all these places that they want to wipe out, flood them out, and then rebuild the infrastructure. Everything has to be rebuilt from the bottom up to bring in these smart cities and all of these, in this global AI governance that they want to bring in. So they're clearly targeting this area. But look at the wording, windshield wiper effect. Is anybody paying attention? I mean, how many times all of a sudden are we going to hear made up terminology that we've never heard before? And then they want us to look around and be like, I guess we're just not smart enough. Never heard of the windshield wiper effect. Well, it's because they made it up. They make these things up as they go. And if you look up the definition of windshield wiper effect, I mean, this is really just, we're at a point where if you don't see what's going on, I mean, really, come on now. Come on. Do you need to get slapped in the face? I mean, what do you need to wake up and snap out of it? Can you just maybe have a cup of coffee and start paying attention? I mean, let's go. Let's get your brain going and see what's going on here, okay? You have a lot of these people see all the crime and stuff, and they're like, I don't know why I guess more people are turning into criminals. Oh, well, don't you think it has to do with the mind control, plus the fact that they're allowing them to be criminals? They want to destroy the infrastructure. They want to bring about new rules, new constitution, new bills, etc. But anyway, windshield wiper effect. Here's a definition from the Washington Post. What the Hurricane Center wants to avoid is a windshield wiper effect. When a storm track is adjusted one way only to quickly move in the opposite direction. You don't want to go too far to the extreme because who's to say it won't correct to the west? So in other words, weather and storms that aren't following, the bogus patterns that they show us on the news where they're targeting the weather and telling you it's going through a jet stream and that's why it keeps hitting the same spot. Now they're just going to go in zigzags, right? They're going to make, let's go over LA, right? What are they going to do? Look through their windshield, their rear view mirror, right? And then they're going to go, hey, wait a minute. I see some buildings still standing up in LA. Hey, let's go in reverse and finish the job, because that's pretty much what they're saying. They're saying that, the storm is adjusted one way, but it's quickly going to move in the opposite direction, like a windshield wiper. So pretty much, what does it do? It wipes, right? Left to right, right to left, wipes it off, right? Wipes it off, get it? Wiping it off. That's what they're doing. They're trying to wipe these places out. How many times do they have to come up with these new names for these types of weather phenomenons, right? And people are just like, yeah. Well, the climate thing, right? Like I said, they have it baked in. But when do you have common sense to start saying all of this stuff's not normal? And wait a second, they can't control the weather. Now, if you're wondering about controlling the weather, go look at the video I put up a few days ago before this, supposed natural storm hit. And they were talking about what was it called? They had some ridiculous terminology that they just made up as well to get you to think that, because that's what they do. They make it up. And then you look at it and you're like, I've never heard of that. And they know people out there. They could just go, oh, yeah, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about anyway. You're not a meteorologist. So they just make up words. So they had the atmospheric river, which, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, this is new normal, atmospheric river. People are like, what? And then even in the news clips, they're like, oh, we're going to go and study it more in the air as we geoengineer from the sky and cloud seed. I mean, it's unbelievable how obvious this is. In that video, It's called Warning. If you haven't flooded California yet, our government will make sure they flood you out. Go watch it if you haven't yet after this video. I'll remind you again at the end. I have it linked below. In that video, I show you just some of the stuff where the government has openly talked about having the ability to manipulate weather, okay? You could look at JFK in the 60s, 50s, talking about weather control. What do you think that they mean, weather control? I mean, you can't even make up a fake definition of what they're trying to say to try to, cover it up. Okay, the president's talking about weather manipulation and weather control. Okay, well, let's define that. Being able to manipulate and control weather, period, okay? So they talk about it then Disney has documentaries out from Monsanto of all people, because Monsanto was funding Tomorrowland at the time. Monsanto, if you're not familiar, the one poisoning us from the dirt and putting the chemicals in our food. How convenient, right? They're working together. Of course they are. It's all CIA. That's the point. Disney CIA, Monsanto CIA, this is CIA, this climate engineered weather. So Disney had the documentary like I showed you in that video. So if you haven't seen it, go look. About, hey, wouldn't it be great if one day they could use this weather manipulation tool that they have to veer hurricanes away? Oh, is that what they're going to use once everyone's like locked into their smart city domes, etc.? No, they'll probably never admit to it because they don't want you to know this stuff. They don't want you to know that they have this government patent. And I try to just tell people, what do you think the government's doing every day? They make up make-believe wars, so you think we're at war. They're working on these things, and now they've just strategized to the point they know who they want to wipe out, what areas they want to wipe out, where they're going to bring about these smart city cells. Because again, when you're a smart city, you're like, oh, I don't know, it's a prison. It's a giant prison where you have, instead of having a little cubicle cell, you'll have the illusion that you can go outside in your little smart city. We're under full-on surveillance 24/7, and they'll give you all these little things to make you think it's wonderful. Oh, there's no crimes in these cities. Well, no crap, there's no crimes. And if you do commit a crime, you'll be, put in a jail cell, inside of a cell, be like a cell in a cell, right? It's like the same thing as in jail. If somebody gets caught killing another inmate, oh, okay, it's like, what's even the big deal? Someone has life in prison, they kill another prisoner. Oh, they have another life term. Oh, thanks for wasting our tax money. Oh, we just went to trial so he could have another life term on top of his life term, on top of another life term, head explosion, right? So all the people in California right now are getting obviously moved out, moved around the way that they want to move them. Again, I've always talked about this. Okay, I've always said this to the people who have listened to my channels over the year. They ain't going to show up, not yet, with a tank up your road to get you out and do these things. They're using ways that you would never be able to figure out how they're hurting you and why. That's what they're doing with the division of the liberals and the conservatives with Roe v. Wade, what states are anti-LGBT, what states are anti-Bible, and what's free. It's gaslighting people to where they want them to be sitting ducks for them. So back to this, just what they're calling this. I mean, it's unbelievable. They throw this out there and they expect nobody to pay attention. They just continue about their day. We're talking about windshield wiper effect. And I'm not saying this is the first time we've heard this. Okay, they probably had it in like 2021, 2022, but this isn't something you've heard about growing up. Nobody's heard of atmospheric rivers. I mean, nobody's heard of this stuff because they're so bizarre to the human eye when they see this that they just they make up names for it to make you think that it's normal. And then they go, well, with the climate stuff, it's something that's existed since, dinosaurs. They could just say 2 billion years ago. And all these people are just like, oh yeah, 2 million years ago, dinosaurs walked in. I mean, they believe whatever they hear. Whatever these people say, they hear. All they need is a little fancy background music and the basic, MK Ultra programming you see on day-to-day basis on the news. So here's just avoiding the windshield wiper effect. I want to read this to people. It says, quote, windshield wiper effect. With the models overnight, meaning we continue to see models flip-flop the projected path of what will likely become a tropical storm or a hurricane. This is an example of what one is. It is common for models to flip-flop. 50 to 100 miles per model run with a developing tropical system. Hopefully when hurricane hunters fly into systems, they gather valuable data which will be put into the forecast model. So they pretty much are telling you with windshield wiper effects, with suddenly the river showing up in the sky, atmospheric river, that they need to do more examination because it's brand new. So most people out there should realize at this point that all of these things are not normal and not natural. So there's people who I see and they think that this is God's wrath. And if you want to believe that, that's perfectly fine. But they do have the ability to control and manipulate the weather. Okay? Anyone out there that denies it, you're denying it for whatever reason you want to deny it. they have the ability, okay? They have proven that. They use the weather as a weapon. So we're seeing it done in California. People are seeing, just like they saw in Maui, this isn't normal. This isn't natural. This is not a regular wildfire. It looks as if people were just set ablaze, like cars are melting, like the heat of a wildfire when there's barely any trees around right next to an ocean. It don't make any sense. So what do they do in the media? Well, they just ignore it. They stop covering it. They go, oh, I guess they caught on. We'll move on. We'll never mention what's happening over there again. And that's what they did, right? And it could be the same thing with something like this in California. Oh, everybody's been flooded out. Can you define windshield wiper effect? Oh, well, do you see the storm going through? Okay, so every time in the history of the Weather Channel or us being able to watch these things on the Weather Channel, any weather forecast, they go in one direction. Suddenly, it's just circling around. It's sitting on top, smoking a cigarette on top of Los Angeles, chilling with his feet up until, of course, everybody's flooded out and the destruction and damage that they want is done. And they can just say, yeah, it's a windshield wiper effect. What is next? What is the next name for one of these things? I mean, want to just call it the skid mark effect? It's manipulated weather. So people in California, a lot of them are clearly not awake. I mean, that's very clear, right? The stuff they support, a lot of them don't know what's going on. Okay, if you've ever been to California, a lot of people over there are very, they're not very, good. They're there for, I'm not saying everyone, but I won't even go down that avenue, okay? But people there don't really have a clue because clearly it's a very communist state and they love all this nonsense that's been going on with the governor. But they still want to destroy the infrastructure of the cities and things like that and the housing in certain areas because they have the blueprint for how this smart society is going to look, how this AI governed society is going to look and what needs to be where and what houses have to be wiped out. So they're going to wipe them out with weather. What do you think? They're going to come through with tanks and they're just going to run over everyone's home and then wouldn't the rest of the country go, all right, maybe we all should arm up. Maybe we should stop looking at skin color. I mean, it's like I said, silent weapons for quiet wars. Nobody thinks they can manipulate the weather. That's how they get away with it. So again, if you didn't watch that video I did, it's linked below about, just weather manipulation, just basic stuff, the chemtrailing you see in the sky every single day. Every day. Nobody can deny that. Now, the problem is that these idiots think it's water vapor. Meanwhile, they do the chemtrail and your sky is in a haze for the rest of the day. Wouldn't water evaporate? Oh, no. They told me it's water vapor. It's water vapor. You're crazy conspiracy theorists because I don't want to believe that the government will be poisoning us. I'm going to go play Pokemon. Oh, okay. Have a good time. Okay? They just won't believe it because they're not capable of believing it. It's too much for them to handle because they're weak. They've made society weak. But we've got to keep informing people of it. So go watch that video if you haven't. Of course, prayers for anybody affected by this. This is just the one of many situations we've seen with, Lahaina. We've seen people in Florida. We've seen all the coasts get hit. We've seen the tornadoes in the middle of the country. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. If we were going to start something like we need to, we got to start with blowing up HARP, going to military bases and to these planes, seeing what's in the plane. We all know what's in the. I mean, it's such an operation to take it down. It's probably not possible. But these are the things that have to be done because they literally are just going to do this to all of us and smile and smirk and direct this weaponized weather where they want to direct it and hit who they want to hit. And they can also do earthquakes. I've talked about Tesla and the earthquake machine. People are like, what? They're like, what do you think, Tesla? You think this is like, his last name is famous for no reason, the Tesla car, and they love and idolize him. Tesla created the earthquake with a machine. Very small one. It created an earthquake in New York. Okay? They have the ability to create massive ones now, and they do it all the time. Just ask Turkey. They can wipe out entire states in this country when they're ready, and it's coming very soon. And everyone out there is going to go, oh, it must be climate change. And then they're going to bring about their climate carbon agenda with it and tell us that we can't leave our home, we can't drive in cars, and give them more control over our lives. It's time that people start waking up before it's too late. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always, and your families.